This match of StarCraft 2 is supposed to be one of the most ridiculous series that has ever been played. What I've got for you today is a best of 3 of Terran versus Protoss. This particular series was played during HomeStory Cup 23 just a couple of days ago. Well, at the very least, as of me casting this video right now. So spotted right here in the top right-hand corner, playing with the blue Terran SCVs, we have none other than uThermal. And his opponent in the opposite corner. At too few workers here. Playing right here with the red Protoss pieces, we're looking inside of the main base of Shadown. Where are his probes? Okay, hold up right now. So here's the thing. Shadown definitely not a stranger to playing wonky games, but obviously uThermal is very well known for his cheesy Terran gameplay. He used to play this game competitively. These days, well, he still obviously does play the game, but he doesn't really play it as seriously anymore as he used to. As far as I know, he hasn't really played in any competitive tournament in quite a while, other than some smaller online cups. But this particular series, what's going on? It was played during an offline event over in Krefeld in Germany. Now, as a matter of fact, I just got back home from that particular tournament myself this morning. I drove back at like 2 in the morning, got back home at like 4, slept a few hours, and now I'm casting this one. I had these games described to me by the winner of it. I caught the tail end of the final game as well. But from what I understand, this is one of the most ridiculous games we're ever gonna watch. So this is from a major tournament in StarCraft 2. There's a good amount of money on the line here. And we start off with 3 probes going straight across the map. Now, Shadown, of course, a very good Protoss player. I guess in this particular series, his mindset is to just try and prevent whatever uThermal has had planned. Because uThermal has been memeing a lot with battle cruisers, planetary fortress rushes, a lot of widow mines, a lot of shenanigans in general. So I think in Shadown's mind, all he really needs to do is just force the game to go a little bit longer and just deal with whatever Mark has got prepared for him. Okay, well, I say that. I guess this is another way to deal with any of that shenanigans, if you're the one in charge of the pace of the matchup. So hold up, Shadown started this game off by sending 3 probes across the map. And then he built a proxy nexus in the bottom right-hand corner. Okay, we're fighting fire with fire here. Honestly, so far, I mean, other than the one base situation right here for uThermal, it's nothing all too crazy, although this is not what we normally see. He just snuck an SCV into his opponent's main base and he's now building a factory. Okay. So he's building a factory inside of his opponent's main base. Obviously, it's critical that this Reaper does not spoil the surprise. No, Shadown is not going to be able to check out that corner here. Good grenade as well by uThermal. He wants to keep that Adept occupied as long as possible. Stalker on the back of this as well. Double Reaper as well as a Hellion now coming up. But that Nexus in the bottom right is also about to finish. Okay, so what are we gonna do with the factory? Are we gonna build Hellions or Widow Mines over here? Like, what exactly is the plan? I guess if you can afford it, Widow Mines would be a little bit better. You just make them and just walk them straight into their mineral line. Recoil right now, though, all the way towards the bottom right-hand corner. Shadown is gonna start mining 2 bases. And uThermal at this point hasn't seen his opponent's expansion. He's looking around the map right now, trying to figure out exactly what ended up going down here. It is, by the way, a Widow Mine. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. He's actually rallied them right over here to, well, right about where the SCV is located. So maybe he's gonna save them up before he actually commits. Okay, charge coming up as well for Shadown. So he's actually got a solid economy here. Even if he loses a bunch of workers in the main base, that is okay. But, of course, there's no medevac or anything like that, right? So you don't really expect Widow Mines to just simply walk into your mineral line. This could get really crazy really fast. Look at all the movement on the minimap already. uThermal has been looking around the map wherever he can. Looks like the Adept at the very least got denied. Second Widow Mine just about to finish up. A lot of Hellions and Reapers right now at the front as well. And he's actually just gonna walk them in. Oh no. Shadown, are you paying attention to this? Shadown, are you paying attention to this? Dark Templar on the back of this. The Hellions actually, oh, see a beautiful line of probes. Well, for now, I mean, at least the Widow Mines, we're mostly denied, but I think that's too much. 16 probes have already gone down. That base in the bottom right-hand corner was not found yet by uThermal, so I guess that maybe Shadown's saving grace, but this is already so much damage. GG is called, and game number 1 goes in favor of uThermal. Royal Blood, game number 2. uThermal Playing a interesting game one there, but honestly, I'm more impressed with the way that Shadown was playing that one. I had no idea he would be sending out 3 probes right there at the very start. I don't think that's really something we've seen in years and years and years. I mean, in theory, of course, you can micro those probes and deal a lot of damage and have some of the shields regen. I really think, though, that the only thing he really was trying to do there is keep uThermal at home. Just keep him at home, try and, you know, create some chaos, so hopefully whatever he had planned, it is thrown out of the window. Well, it turns out uThermal is a pretty flexible player. Didn't really work out all too well right there for Shadown. Either way, Royal Blood so far, nothing all too crazy. No probes moving across the map. No SCVs moving across just yet either. We'll have to see exactly what both of these players have in store here. Alright, so I wasn't actually planning on already casting games again this morning. So I drove back home. I think it was like 2 when I left Krefeld, and I think I was in bed at like 4 or so. So it was a pretty quick drive. I actually was planning on driving home this morning, so I was gonna sleep at the hotel and then drive back home. But I figured, you know, Monday morning traffic. I'm recording this on a Monday. Monday morning traffic, not really that big of a fan of it. If I can avoid it, it'd probably save me about half an hour or so if I drove back in the middle of the night. And I felt pretty good. Actually glad I did it. Nothing quite like sleeping at home, but anyways, feeling good though this morning, even though I have only slept maybe 5 hours or so, which is not. I'm the type of guy who generally sleeps a lot. I sleep like at least 8 hours most days, but anyways, we'll catch up on that very soon. It's a very good way though to wake up, right? A little bit of coffee, a little bit of StarCraft. Ooh, okay, that was dangerous. But SCV did manage to go to the other side of the depot eventually, but no command center or anything here coming up for uThermal. Nexus on the low ground here for our Protoss player. Cybercore as well finishing up. Should be going into our very first unit here, and that is indeed going to be an Adept. Okay. What are we doing, uThermal? What? No, uThermal, what is this? So, I heard about this particular game. I had it described to me as a planetary fortress rush. Now, it's about as stupid as it sounds, but not that stupid. I used to think that planetary fortress rushes were dumber than they actually are. So we used to only ever see planetary fortress rushes as quickly as the game started, right? But uThermal has actually come up with a pretty good way to make it work at a higher level. So he's not actually, you know, super rushing it, right? We're 2.5 minutes or so into the game when this command center started up over here. He's not getting it as his very first structure and then trying to fly it right over here and then morph it into a planetary. That's not really the goal. He's created a lot more of a strategic approach. Now, it's been about a half year or so since I've last seen him execute it, so I wonder if there's any refinement here. Shadown looking around the map right now, checking the golden mineral lines that are available here on Royal Blood. This is definitely one of those locations right here where, yeah, Protoss is not going to check. If he finds this, I'd be very surprised, because this is just not an area of the map you would be expecting anything from at this point in the game. It's gonna be a Dark Templar opener here once again from Shadown. I actually really do like DTs. When you're going for only a single orbital command here, the amount of detection that you have is very, very little. And obviously, well, it's gonna be great against whatever uThermal has available here. There's not gonna be a Raven, there's gonna be very few scans. He could make a missile turret, because in order to make a planetary, you need an engineering bay. And in order to go for a missile turret, guess what? You also need an engineering bay, but here we go. Okay, he wants to land it right over here in the wall off. I don't think that's going to happen. Now, we're gonna have to be a little bit more conservative with that positioning, I would imagine, although he's still flying it on over here. Yeah, he may very well reconsider. He's gonna try and land it right over here in the choke point. Do you want your SCVs in? I was gonna say, I don't think that's where you want them. Alright, so the SCVs are here to repair the planetary while it's morphing in. Immortal coming up. Dark Shrine, though, is not too far behind this. If uThermal knew, he would definitely make a missile turret here. I think that's actually absolutely critical. Battery overcharge already used. We've got a few more batteries coming up. 3 more, actually. Not bad at all. Okay, planetary, though, about halfway done. A little bit more than halfway done, even. That Immortal is fantastic. But I'm mostly concerned right here for the Dark Templar. What in the world are you going to do against Dark Templar, Mark? There's another CC starting up, by the way, at home. So this is just a macro planetary, guys. I love watching planetary fortress rushes. Planetary fortress rushes, though, in a main tournament like this. Yeah. I don't think this has really been seen since, like, I honestly don't remember. Probably a decade. It's a very disrespectful build in a way, but uThermal obviously just having a good old time. And you know what? Even though it's not working out crazy well here so far, it's also not as terrible as it, you know, really could have been, right? It's one of those builds. So Shadown has been very zeroed in this particular series to try and prevent these sort of builds from killing him. And even though that's been his entire goal so far, he's still caught off, right? He's still caught off guard here. If he decided to go for a super normal opener and not quick Dark Templar with Immortals, I wonder what this particular game would have looked like. Marine showing up right now as well. The SCV's still helping out. The Planetary itself is also producing SCVs. He's trying to target fire down the clumps of those Stalkers here, because Planetaries do deal splash damage. In the end, I do believe, though, that this will be blown up, and yeah, Shadown manages to stabilize. Imagine, though, if Shadown decided to go for, I don't know, an Oracle opener, or he decided to go for a Blink Stalker opener. Anything around what is considered to be the normal in this particular matchup. Could have been a disaster. Instead, what we have right here from Shadown, and I gotta say, I love the way the man's playing this. He's going into Blink Dark Templar right now. Proxy Nexus here. Once again, I was gonna say Protoss Command Center, but that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Proxy Nexus here in the top left-hand corner, as well as another one in the bottom right. Let's go, Shadown. Okay. So Proxy Nexi in game number 1, Proxy Nexi in game number 2 as well. Dark Templar rushes. I love how the Dark Templar rushes, though, are mostly used defensively. That is fantastic. That seemed to be the perfect response, by the way, from Shadown. If he... Yeah, I don't really know exactly what his alternatives would have been, right? If he didn't realize what he was playing against, I think this game would have looked entirely different. Okay, right now, though, don't get me wrong, this is a fantastic position right here for Shadown. 54 workers versus only 35. Yes, uThermal does have his natural take in here. Yes, he is going to be able to transition towards Terran mech? Really? I don't know about that one. DT in the main base as well, by the way. It hasn't seen the second factory yet. So I would imagine that this was just going to be like a triple barracks follow-up, but not the case. Okay. Oh, man. If he gets a little bit of vision right there, it would be amazing for him. I think it's actually more important than killing all of those SCVs. He doesn't realize that he's playing against a second factory, but I mean, now there's a... Yeah. Now there's enough of a squad here in the main base to deny any sort of future scouting. Okay, so if Shadown would notice, he would definitely go for more Immortals. At this point, though, I'm not even entirely sure if he needs it. So he doesn't realize that he's playing against double factory siege tank production here. I actually don't know if he can actually just push in here, though. I honestly doubt it. That's a lot of tanks. Yeah, actually, unsiege tanks don't mess around. I don't know exactly if you want to push in already when you have 4 of them, but when you get up to like 6 or 7, you can probably start fighting this army head on. Triple Forge! Let's go, Shadown! I haven't really casted a lot of Shadown games lately. Maybe he's been mixing up his playstyle as well, but he is playing this like an absolute hero. Not the Protoss player hero, okay? Hero would be playing this series entirely differently. He would probably not be expecting a planetary fortress, I can tell you that much. Anyways, double blink available right now for Shadown on both the Stalkers as well as the Dark Templar. Okay, these are gonna be able to get away once again, but uThermal doesn't know what he's playing against. He's decided to pull the boys once again. This time around, though, this is the majority of his economy. It's mostly just here to try and... Ooh, okay. To try and soak up a bunch of damage, maybe build a few structures. There are a few pylons available, but this one in the main base scares me a bit, although there's no Metavex, so I guess it doesn't matter. uThermal doesn't realize, though, how many bases there are actually up around the map. Yeah. Shadown is already setting up additional reinforcements here in the top left-hand corner. Base in the bottom right also has a few gateways attached to it. Prism going back into the main base for a little bit more. I think actually just warping in a Dark Templar and sending it in. Oh, actually, no, never mind. I was thinking we're gonna try and force out as many scans as possible, but apparently that's not gonna be the case. Can we at the very least kill this missile turret? That would be massive. We could also go after, I guess, whatever the Terran player has popping out of their production structures right now. The push from uThermal does continue, but at this point, the supply count is really telling the story. Yes, uThermal has got a scary amount of units, but as soon as these orbitals are up in the air, you need them landed in order to go for scans. At this point, his army is once again very vulnerable to Dark Templar. Now, if somehow, some way, though, uThermal can shut down all of these structures, I think he's gonna be in some trouble. Yeah, Shadown may actually be in some trouble here, but as long as he's on top of this, right, I don't think it really is gonna be much of an issue. Look at that one pylon, man. This one bothered me as soon as I saw it. I love the triple upgrades. It might be a little bit overly ambitious and honestly maybe a bit too much. Probes are gonna be recalled. Where are they gonna go? Yeah, top left-hand corner. Makes a lot of sense. 41 probes have gone down. Keep in mind that the win condition in a game of StarCraft 2 is to destroy all of your opponent's structures, though. And at this point, we have Shadown building Nexi like they're hatcheries, okay? Normally it's Zergs that build bases all over the map. Well, whenever they're in a base trade scenario, in this particular case, it is our Protoss player from France. Okay, so double missile turrets still at the front, these count, and obviously there's orbital command as well. uThermal does not quite notice the minerals there. We should really get some vision. Yeah, okay, he's just building whatever he can. This Nexus is also gonna fall, but uThermal is having... Yeah, okay, now he's realized how many bases there are actually set up. There's more on the right side of the map as well. Look at the mini-map. Shadown taking every base that's available, and uThermal realizes it. Game number 2 is gonna go in favor of the Protoss. Alrighty, and that brings us to Gresvan. Game number 3 in this best of 3 series. Now, by the way, in case you're unfamiliar, whenever a StarCraft 2 tournament like this wraps up, generally speaking, what I do is I try to find all of the best games from those events, and I will try to cast those games here on my YouTube channel. So, if you enjoy watching these videos and you would like to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as the little bell icon so you get notified as soon as future videos go live. Over the next couple of weeks, I plan on uploading quite a few casts from HomeStory Cup 23, because this tournament, it was an absolute banger. I had such a good time again. In case you're unfamiliar, it's a bit of a different vibe. Most of the StarCraft tournaments are quite serious, and obviously the tournament aspect of this event is also very serious, because there's money on the line, but generally speaking at HomeStory Cups, whenever the players get eliminated, they join us for a few beers. Sometimes they also cast some games with us. It's always a good time. It's an entirely different vibe, and yeah, the games, I've seen a whole lot of really good ones. I've actually got a banger of a cast that I really want to do as well. Raynor and Serral faced off against each other, and game number 1 between them on Gresvan is one of the very best games of StarCraft 2 that I've seen in 2023. Honestly, just an amazing game. But anyways, subscribe so you get notified as soon as that video goes live. You don't have to, but you can. Alrighty, so what are we doing? Once again, a little bit of shenanigans, double gas in the main base, uThermal hiding his very first barracks. This is going to make things a little tricky for Shadown. So he saw the timing of the factory. He knows that there is indeed a barracks out there somewhere, but he doesn't know where it is. Normally it's right over here. This time around it was in the natural, as uThermal still goes for a reactor over here. Really, Mark? Really? Are we going to go back to back? Okay. I don't hate it. But it's not like it worked out particularly well in the previous game. And maybe he saw something, though, that he noticed in his opponent's playstyle. And he's like, you know what? I can probably exploit this. I think I can probably do a better job. Honestly, Shadown had a fantastic response to that, right? Even though he didn't really know exactly what he was playing against. I wonder if we're once again going to see a Dark Templar play right here from Shadown. I do think it's really clever. Because generally when you're going up against a Terran player who's only got 1 or 2 command centers, they just have very limited amount of scans, right? You just don't have that many things. Alright, once again, command center coming up in the middle of the map. So far, no tech structure whatsoever for Shadown. So he's decided, okay, look, I'm not gonna go Twilight Council, I'm not gonna go Stargate, I'm not gonna go Robo Facility, at least not just yet, yeah. He's prioritizing the gateways right now, and he did put down a Stargate, but this does, of course, mean that he's going to be able to get a whole lot of units out. Now, did he just see this? He did not, no. So this probe is going every way around the map, except, well, right around the location where that command center is building. Reapers here end up shutting this down. Cyclone on the back of this, too. So, we've got the Reapers together with Cyclones going up against a Stargate as well as a whole lot of gates. The command center is the main target, though. Where do we position it? He's just gonna abandon it? He's just gonna abandon the natural altogether? Really, Shadown? Okay, I think he's realized at this point, yo, I just need to hold on. Does this mean that Mark is gonna go for the Planetary in the main base? Hello, keep flying there. Okay. No. I feel like that may even be bait. Yeah, Phoenix coming up. I guess that's for the Cyclone here, but I don't actually know if that's the best call. uThermal trying to get up a missile turret again. No cancel on that one, but here comes the Planetary, right? So once again, Shadown is gonna see the command center for the very first time right now. And that's a problem when you don't know exactly what you're playing against. These sort of builds do become very scary. Now, if you can get a Stalker underneath, he may prevent it from landing, but apparently that's not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to run by everything. We're trying to shut this down before it lays eggs. A little bit dangerous, though, because this does now mean that the Planetary is set up. And Stalkers, yeah, they deal a lot of damage. Sure, they can snipe down as many of these SCVs as they want. But the Planetary needs to be respected. Okay, once again, triple shield battery coming up. There is one pylon to power this. That is certainly within range of that Planetary once it finishes up. And that's something that uThermal has noticed as well. Shadown very busy here trying to snipe all of the SCVs, and I don't hate it. I'm just a little concerned for the Planetary. How many Stalkers do you need to shut down a Planetary fortress? I honestly don't know. In these early game scenarios, things get to, yeah, a very fancy position. I think we should have a follow-up pylon here. Honestly, this would be very dangerous without a pylon. Okay, Mule is gonna land here as well. That's gonna allow him to repair this. We do have the battery overcharge there. Super battery really helping out. SCV here together with a Mule trying to repair this. The Cyclone's also putting in as much work as possible. And what I thought was a questionable response right here from Shadown turns out to be absolutely perfect, yeah. I mean, that was a little messy. Maybe it didn't look incredibly clean, but Shadown did know exactly what to do against this. It seemed a little dangerous, though. Especially with the one pylon over here. If that got sniped and those batteries weren't helping out, I've got a feeling we would be in a lot of trouble. Shadown fires up the fleet beacon. Okay. Honestly, this is like two tricksters trying to out-trick each other, though. It was like a clown dance-off over here. Who can juggle more balls at the same time? Okay, so there's a proxy pylon all the way in the bottom section of this map. Are we gonna build a gateway here, or like what is the plan? Are we just gonna use this for reinforcements? I would imagine so. Shadown does have a lot of money in the bank. Fleet beacon's finishing up. The Mothership starts up. So let me get this straight. Planetary Fortress Rush versus Mothership Rush. Of course! Just your regular game of Tournament StarCraft 2. Proxy Robo together with a proxy gateway here as well. It is actually very clever though, because again, uThermal's not going to have a lot of scan energy available. He's not going to have a lot of detection. So Dark Templar and Motherships, I mean, they kind of serve a similar purpose. Obviously the Mothership itself cannot be cloaked, but the units underneath sure can, and it's got a lot of HP. With some good control, it's actually very difficult for the Terran to snipe it. There's a nice line of Marines over here. uThermal apparently giving all of them names and telling them to stand in a row. I don't know if that's the top priority. He's making this look like he's got some sort of expansion, but in reality, he's gonna go for Stimpak, combat shields, and +1 infantry weapons off of one base. Okay, this is gonna be a big attack right here from uThermal and a big power spike as soon as those upgrades are done. The thing is, before one of the most basic timing attacks from Terran is done, there will already be a Mothership out. I actually don't know how this works out, because Marines are very good against Motherships if they manage to get underneath, but obviously that's the big problem. It also very much so depends on what other units are gonna go together with this, so we do have, what upgrades do we have? We've just got the Warp Gate upgrade, yeah, that's it. So it's +1 coming up right now, there's no charge, there's no blink, there's nothing like that. Shadown going for a third Nexus. The Mothership moving on over towards the bottom corner of the map. One thing to keep in mind is that the Mothership has an ability called Offensive Recall. It's actually called Mass Recall. Anyways, it's essentially an offensive recall where you can warp units in the direction of the Mothership. Now, I think the Mothership should be at home though, because this is the moment apparently where uThermal decides to pull the boys, and this is not something that Shadown is actually aware of. He's scouting right now, but he has not actually seen this entire move out. This is about to get really awkward. If we are gonna see a mass recall over in the direction of the Mothership, we may just have a full-on base race. So the cooldown of the Nexus recall and the Mothership recall are not shared. So you can actually recall towards the Mothership and then recall back home. We are going to need some force fields, though. Are we not going to do force fields? I think we're going to recall. Yeah, we are going to recall. Let's go. Mothership now appears inside of the Terran's main base. He's going to start fighting right over here at the same time. Mark has pulled the Stimpack button, and he's going to go ahead and... Or I guess he pushed it. He pulled the trigger on it. Anyway, he's going to start demolishing the natural expansion here of Shadown. Shadown, what exactly is the plan here? Because the problem is Terran structures can fly. We're gonna go ahead and build a Nexus in the opponent's natural expansion. Main base, though, here of Shadown is not gonna be, around for that much longer. uThermal is taking off. He's decided to just fly as many of his structures around the map. Does he still have a command center? No, Mark has not rebuilt their base and they're being revealed. Since all of his main structures are gone, all of his command centers are gone, you can see that Shadown has perfect vision of where all of those final structures are. This is, of course, a cannon rush over here with a warp prism. Okay. Anyways, there's so much to talk about in these games, man. This would be the highlight of an average game of StarCraft 2, but this is all over the place. He can see exactly where all of those units currently are. Now, who wins this fight? 50 army supply for Terran, 55 for Protoss. Hallucinated Colossus, let's go, dude. Does uThermal have detection? Actually, you know what? I'm pretending that this is gonna be a close fight, but uThermal has no way, since he doesn't have an orbital command anymore, to get vision of the units underneath. He needs to snipe the Mothership, but yeah, with good force fields, what in the world are you gonna get done? GG is cold, and it's indeed Shadown who obtains the victory. Hey, real quick, if you made it all the way until the end of this video, you enjoyed watching it, please take the 1 second that it takes to hit the like button. Thank you very much.